Hi, today we're going to be going over a daily or a morning cars routine. The point of the routine is to take each one of our joints through its full range of motion, and we want to focus on trying to move those joints independently, so one at a time. As we do this, think of it as joint hygiene. We're going to be cleaning out our joints and making sure they're moving well for the day, but can also be used as a great assessment tool to check in with our bodies that day of how each one of our joints is feeling. And if one of them isn't feeling that great, we can always spend a little bit more time and attention. For the sake of the routine, I like to do 2 repetitions each direction of each car. If you have more time, you're more than welcome to increase those repetitions. Even once through can offer some benefit. It's better than not moving. So as with most things, I like to start from the ground up. So we'll start with the toes. And the toes can be challenging at first because it's not often we try to actively move them on their own. But the first thing we're going to try to do is pull all 10 toes up off the ground and try to spread them out as much as possible. Sometimes if you use your hands and do it as well, it can be helpful. And then we're going to try to just put down our big toe and then our other 4 toes. And then back up, big toe goes down, all the other toes go down. Then we'll start with everything on the ground. You're going to try to lift just big toes up and then just the other 4 toes. Just big toe and then all the other 4 toes. Next we'll cover the ankles. So if you grab an underhand grip on the leg, grab onto your bicep and grab on. That way we're limiting how much we're moving through the knee, as well as by pulling it up towards us, we're going to lock the hip as well. We'll start by doing a gas pedal motion or pointing the toes, then start to bring the ankle in, toes towards the shin, and then rotating out as we go back to that gas pedal. We're trying to keep the same cadence through the entire car, so we're not rushing through one point and then slowing down. You're taking that same cadence. Once you've gone to one direction, you can switch and go the other way. And seeing if there's any kind of crunchy bits as you move through there. Once you've done 2 on one side, you can switch over to the other. So again, starting with the gas pedal, we'll pull the foot in, toes towards the shin as you rotate out, back to that gas pedal, in, toes towards the shin, and out. We've reached our 2 one direction, so we'll switch it up. Pull toes to shin, come in, gas pedal, and out. So you'll notice the knee, the hip, nothing else in my body is moving. We're just trying to move through that ankle joint. Sometimes the toes will get involved as you try to pull, as the muscles that control the toe also help with ankle motion. Good. Next, we're going to cover the knee. Now, the most challenging part of a knee car is getting the rotation. So if you want to start with just that, I like to do a couple rotations before incorporating the rest of the movement. So what I find is helpful is the same grip, but this time you're going to cover the front side of your knee. From there, you pull toes up towards the shin, and then you can practice trying to rotate your tibia or your shin bone in and out. The reason for the hand being over top of the knee is you can feel your tibial tuberosity, or that bump on the front. It should turn and face each direction. So that hand feedback can be important. Once you get that down, we'll start by internally rotating or pointing the shin in. Then we're going to try to extend the leg. It doesn't have to go straight before rotating out and then curling back in. Then we'll rotate in, kick up, rotate out, pull in. Now that we've done 2, we'll keep it out, come up, rotate in, pull down, rotate out, kick up, rotate in, pull that hamstring, so you're trying to curl the heel towards the butt. And then we'll switch over to the other side. So again, practice a couple rotations on that side, using the hand for feedback. And then from there, we'll keep it out, kick up, rotate in, pull down, and then repeat again. Good. Then keep it in, we'll kick up, rotate out, come in, and last one for the knee there. Next, we'll work our way up to the hip. Now, I'm going to do this in the all fours or the quadruped position, but you're more than welcome to find what position works best for you. You can go standing or side lying, and that goes the same with all cars. Find a position that works best for you. With this one, we want to try to keep our spine as still as possible as we drive the knee in. We're going to open it up to the side like a dog is peeing on a fire hydrant, and then start to internally rotate or point the heel up towards the ceiling as you kick up. It's important here that we're not trying to arch through the low back. I want to keep that solid as we come around. And then in reverse, we're going to kick up towards the ceiling, open up to the side, now rotate, try to drive the knee into the armpit. And then we'll go for our second repetition. Again, trying to keep that same cadence through the entire car. Kicking up, try not to let that low back extend. And then in reverse, we'll kick back up, open up to the side, and drive knee into the armpit. Same thing on the other side. We're going to drive the knee in, kick out, rotate up towards the ceiling, come around, and then in reverse, kick up, open that leg up to the side, knee into the armpit. Go one more on this side before moving on to the spine. As we kick up and around, again, try not to let that low back extend. We want to try to get movement from the hip and not the low back creating an arch. Good. Now it's time for the spine's turn to move. So we're going to go through what most people know as a cat-camel, but we're going to try to move it segmentally. So one segment at a time to own the control of the spine. I personally like to start from a fully flexed position. So where you're tucking the chin, curling the hips under, and rounding the upper back as much as possible. From here, I like to start from the tailbone. We're going to start to tilt the tailbone forward while keeping the chin tucked. And then you're going to start to drop belly button down towards the floor. The ribs are going to drop, then the chest, then the shoulders. Finally, the head is going to rise. Now from here, we can start back from the chin. So chin starts to tuck one piece at a time. Good. Shoulders can start to come through. Chest can start to round. Down towards the ribs. And the belly button. Finally, the hips tucking. You can always film yourself during this one and look for the wrinkles in the shirt. So you'll notice as I go into extension here, or creating that arch in the low back and mid back, you can slowly see the wrinkles of my shirt start to form. And then here we're going to take the wrinkles away by tucking the chin, starting to come up through the shoulders, rounding through the chest, the rest of the ribs, the belly button, and finally the hips tucking under. The next part is we're going to target specifically the thoracic or the T-spine, which is going to be the section that your ribs attach to. So this I like to do from kind of a shin sit position. The reason for that is when I sit onto my heels, it's going to let me know if I'm rocking side to side or moving from my hips or my knees opposed to just moving through my spine. You can start by crossing the arms like so, and then we're going to tuck the chin and roll forward just until you feel the low back start to move. You're going to stop there, rotate all the way over to one side, and then start to bring chest up towards the ceiling, and you'll come across the top. Try not to arch through the low back, but just extending through that mid back. We'll come back forward. And again, we don't want to go so far that we curl all the way over. We're just rounding through the upper back. Come back across for our second rep. Across the top and down. To give you a second view, before we switch directions, we come forward, across, chest up, across the top, and then curl back down. We'll finish up that last rep. Again, that smooth cadence throughout the entire car. Next up, we have the C-spine or the neck. So that's going to be basically from your collarbone up towards the top of your head. We start this one by slowly one vertebrae at a time, curling chin towards the chest. Then we're going to scrape that chin along the collarbone until we reach the end of our rotation. And then we'll start to look up across the ceiling over to the other side. Once we hit that block, we're going to go chin tuck, scrape it back along the collarbone. The neck is a great time to go over closing and open angle joint pain. So as I come over to the right side here, this here would be the closing angle. If there's any ever pinching or pain on that side, we're going to want to back off that range of motion and refer out to some sort of manual practitioner or trainer. The reason for this is usually indicating that there is something wrong with the joint. So if we come around that car, we just take away that little bit of a circle and we move within our pain-free range of motion when we're working on our own. Then we're going to go into the upper extremity. So starting with the shoulder. So the shoulder, just like the hip, is a ball and socket joint. We're going to start by going palm up, reaching across the body, all the way up into that overhead position where the hand is going to face in. And then as we go, I like to think about reaching into the back seat of the car as you rotate the shoulder in, reach back there, and then when you finish, your palm will face the outside. Then you're going to go thumb to the wall behind you. You're going to hit that block, and then we'll go through the rotation, sweeping up and around. Notice that nice smooth cadence again, so we're going one speed throughout the entire motion. And again, anytime you get that closing angle joint pain, if I feel pinching here, that's where I'm going to stop and round out my car there where it's pain-free. If you're able to keep pushing, you can reach for a little bit more range of motion. Which brings us to our point again, is we're looking for joint independence. So what I don't want to see is as you reach up and around, you're getting any twisting of the torso as you go into that reaching into the backseat of the car motion. You want to try to keep the chest forward, shoulders just moving there. So we're not getting any extra motion from the trunk or anything like that. We'll go one more nice smooth cadence before we move on. Next up is going to be the elbows. So the elbows have a few actions. First one is going to be pronation supination. So that's basically turning palms up or palms down. And then I like to relate this one to classic arm exercise. So we're going to go full supination or palms up. And then you're going to imagine doing a really heavy bicep curl. So you're slowly curling up until you can't bend your elbows anymore. Then we're going to push or twist the hands, and then imagine a really heavy tricep extension as we straighten out the arms. Turn the palms up once again. We'll go for our second rep. Heavy curl, twist, heavy tricep extension. Then we go reverse. We're going to go a reverse curl. So the palms facing down, curl all the way up, rotate, and then push down there. One more. And then last is going to be the wrist. So with the wrist, I like to do two options. One is going to be with a closed fist, which is going to be a little bit easier to move just from the wrist. The second is going to be an open hand. So we'll start with the easier one, closed fist. We're going to go all the way back with the wrist. I like to grab on so we make sure it's just coming from the wrist and not the elbow turning. As you go around, out, back, in, pull knuckles towards you, and then the other direction. You can see there I'm trying to open up my fist to cheat a little bit more range of motion, but keep that fist closed. Good. And then when we go to the other hand, I'll show you the palm open option. So it's just going to be trying to keep your fingers as straight as possible as you go back into extension, come towards the thumb side, keep those fingers straight as you curl the wrist forward to the pinky side, and then back there. So as you do this one, you're going to feel the muscles on the front and the back of your arm here should be working quite hard. For example, in this position, the muscles of your extensors are going to be working really hard to hold that position. And then as we pull in, you're going to feel the flexors, the inside of your arm, moving there. Good. Last rep. So there is our full CARS morning or daily routine. Like I said before, if you find one area of your body is a little bit stiff or doesn't feel as good as the rest, you can focus in and do a few more reps there or certain stretches for that area, and that can help open it up. This is a great way to start your day, so I really recommend it to everyone to have this as your baseline. Get your morning CARS routine, and then everything else is progress.